for a little better chance at some scattered storms. Again, 40% chance Monday and Tuesday. Heidi?
All right, Jim, thanks so much. Here's a question for you. What should you do if you've been unemployed for quite some time? Here with us right now is Roger Lear from OrlandoJobs.com. He has 5 tips for you that you really need to know about. So good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
Unfortunately, there are more and more people that have been without jobs for quite some time. And you say there's 5 rules you really have to think about as you go back into the job market.
Sure. We just got done talking to a bunch of HR professionals, and with the unemployment rate at over 11% in Orlando, over close to 200,000 people are out of work, and they might have been out of work for 3 months or so, and even longer, up to a year. But you know, there's some things that they can do, and the number one thing is when you're applying to jobs, you have to realize there's 150 people applying for every single job that's out there.
Which is daunting to think about.
Yes, and if your background isn't close to what the job is, the employer will never get in touch with you. And that's what employers are telling us. Everything's a case by. Employers have a lot of passion and compassion for unemployed, but if you're in graphic design and you apply to a marketing position, too many other people with marketing backgrounds are going to apply for that same job, so you're never going to see that opportunity, and then you're going to get kind of, you know, reserved.
So it's a tough time to reinvent. You really have to go right now with what you're good at.
Exactly.
Okay, they say second on the list that you shouldn't lie in your resume. Is this honestly an issue?
It's a major issue, and especially with the whole new crop of unemployed, they believe that if they see an employer sees a gap in a resume, that it's you know, the death nail, and it really isn't. It actually, employers are actually understand that it's been the worst recession for, well, however long a time, and if you do lie, it's over, because they will find out, and there's no reason to. They will overlook that in this economy, and they were very, very clear about that. Employers said very specifically it's a case-by-case basis on how they're hiring right now.
Speaking of that, speaking of lying, there's a lot of people out there right now who say if you've been out of work for a while, you have to be creative in writing your resume and say you've been running your household, maybe a stay-at-home parent for a while. Say, you know, I was the CEO of the family, and make up some name for your family or something. Should you be doing that, or just be honest and lay it out there and say, hey, I've been at home, this is what I'm doing, I've been working hard, I'm ready to get back at it again?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are in a time that is so different in the way we get jobs. A few years ago, with unemployment of 3.5%, none of that stuff works. But today, what you really want to do is be honest, upfront, and employers have compassion. They want to see the job skill that fits the job. The problem with long-term unemployed is there's a lot of jobs out there, but if you don't have the exact job skill and you can't communicate that to them, you'll never get the job interview. You have to be able to connect with that employer.
The next tip I think is intriguing, because you say you have to be positive, which can be difficult after you've been out of job or the workforce for a long time. And sometimes you get defensive because you've got your porcupine little quills up and you feel very defensive when people ask you questions, but you say you've got to get rid of that.
Yeah. You have to walk into every interview like like you just left your last job and came to your new one. Do not, you know, it's the kiss of death in an interview to talk bad about your old employer.
Yeah.
To say, oh, you know, I've had the worst time. People have lost their homes. They've lost so many things, and somehow you have to dig down deep and say, I got to get rid of all those thoughts. I'm in this interview because I'm starting my new career today, and believe it or not, it really works.
Get rid of the baggage.
Yeah.
You also say to network, network, network. We've heard this before, but who do you talk to without annoying the heck out of people saying, I need a job, I need a job? How do you network the right way?
Yeah. I was at a network meeting yesterday, and the right way to do it is around Central Florida, there's hundreds of network meetings taking place at all time. You always have an opportunity to stand up, and people stood up yesterday and said, I'm in transition, this is what I do. And when you're in a room of 100 people, those 100 people know 100 people. It is the absolute best way to get your name out. And I saw a person stand up yesterday that actually got an interview at a network meeting because they said, hey, I do this. And they actually were a graphic designer and another company.
Just like that.
And it was just a wonderful thing. It never would take place on the internet.
So how do you find these network meetings? A lot of people at home are probably thinking, okay, how do you find this meeting? Are they all over the place? Are they for specific things? How do you go about getting into one of these?
2 really good ways. There's a site called meetup.com, and it has all the different network meetings. You can go to LinkedIn. and look for network groups in Orlando. And also you can just Google network meetings in Orlando or Central Florida, and you will be amazed at how many different network meetings are out there. So
sometimes it's who you know, not what you know, right?
in today's world, that's exactly what it is, because you have, if you've been out of work for a long time, you have to find somebody that can almost bring you into the company personally. Because the competition for the exact person is just too strong right now.
Some great information.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, we've got employment information online, myfoxorlando.com. Also, you can head online and chat with Michelle Berto. She's live at Workforce Central Florida right now. You can see her there typing with you right now, myfoxorlando.com. Mike?
That was some great information. Heidi, thank you. A Fox 35 Health Alert that might have you adding something to your daily vitamins, which